Hey Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Friday SitRep. Just like normal, we got some new releases and some new pre-orders ready to go. Let's go check out these prototypes in the design room and see what Brickmania was up to this week. Okay, so sitting here in the shadow of the F-117, we have the M163 Vadz, which is the Vulcan air defense system for Desert Storm bricks in its prototype form. Dan, what can you tell me about this tan box?
Well, it's an update of the dark gray version we did a while ago. So what you're seeing now is just the prototype model. So the bricks are right. All the printing is not here.
Right, exactly.
So the wheels will have printing on them. There'll be the emblem, the chevron that denotes all of the coalition forces in Desert Storm. And of course, there'll be a figure sitting inside that turret. We are working on a new custom helmet, so it'll be a vehicle crewed helmet with our 3D print department to replace like the sort of less than ideal helmets that we've been using in the past. So. It is the Vadz. The Vadz is the Vulcan air defense system. So this is typical. This is one of many configurations actually that would have been around during Desert Storm. But this has the flotation sides on it, the big puffy sides, the thicker swim vane. It's because this thing's heavier when you have the ammo drum and everything. If it goes through water, they don't want it to sink.
Yeah, sure.
It is an amphibious vehicle. Of course, the ramp does close in the back.
Yeah, I love all the functions that this chassis has with it.
You have the commander's seat is in the back here. Can be raised or lower. Custom 3D printed Vulcan barrel on that thing. That's a 20mm barrel. This is a limited time release. I mean, this is just going to be for Desert Storm. So it's the basic M113 body, of course, with all the additions that needed to make the Vulcan work here. Let's see if we can get this turret off. So we'll pull this off.
Nice.
You can actually see down inside the hull here. So I did put an ammo drum. There was an add-on pack version for the original M113. It just had a little tower here holding the turret on, and I decided to put the little ammo drum in.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you even got the levers up front, you know, for your little driver spot and stuff. So there's definitely a lot of customization that you could do on your own with this interior, just with the basics that you put in there too. So that's really cool.
Right. It has the internal fuel tank, the internal battery box. Just it's not just the empty box, but it's not super detailed, but you can certainly add more features. If you want.
Definitely a fun play feature to go along with this cool kit. So once again, this is the prototype version. Make sure to check out the renders online to see all the custom printing with this. Dan, thanks for checking in.
No problem.
All right, for stop number 2, we're visiting Mary Wilson because we've got a little 2-in-1 Scorpion Scimitar combo here, although the adjustment you have to make isn't exactly a significant one because they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, very similar.
So once again, this is the prototype version. There's some cool printing, etc. that's going to be on this thing. But what I love most about it is that it's just a small, durable little tank.
Yeah, it's so tiny. It was fun to make something that's this small. And yeah, honestly, this tank is very sturdy.
Yeah, right.
So it's just some of the features, like there's a lot of storage going on this. So we've got like the gas can, and then there's extra boxes on different parts of it, and like the shovel on the side. They really like load this up when they take it out. It's got like a spare wheel there. We're missing a few parts, like some of the antenna and of course the printed parts.
Sure.
A few like piece color swaps, but yeah, here's the prototype.
Otherwise, pretty much what you're gonna get. Got those opening hatches, etc. on the top. So. Yeah, definitely a cool little model, and like we were saying, it's just pretty much that barrel piece swapping onto the end of this that'll create the two. We'll do that a little bit later in the SitRep, but otherwise, Mary, thanks for checking in.
Thanks.
And for our final check-in, we're here at Landon's desk, looking at some cool camo. What are we doing here?
So this, at first glance, you might think this is woodland, but this is actually called ERDL, and that's sort of the precursor actually to woodland camouflage. So woodland it's kind of one of the most common, probably the most common camouflage patterns ever made. And this is definitely the precursor in the sort of evolution of that camouflage. Really, woodland is just this camouflage, except they took this camouflage, they scaled it up in size, and they refined a lot of the printing processes. One thing that really stood out to me about ERDL is that since it's an earlier camouflage, you get these like ghosting lines here, where it's like these screens are slipping around as they're printing, and the process wasn't quite refined.
Sure.
So I attempted to recreate that on the minifigure form. So here on the computer, I guess this is sort of a behind the scenes look on how I accomplish some of this. I'll get photographs of that, like the garments, like real life photographs, and I'll try to identify the different like repeating patterns, and then even go right over them and trace them.
Sure.
So this is a more literal, like one-for-one recreation of a camouflage pattern. Sometimes I'll go for a more, I guess, like an artistic interpretation of it. where it's not as 1-for-1. I'm just playing around with different things.
Yeah, right.
Another thing that stood out to me would be these sort of sharper little lines on the black.
Almost like branches, yeah.
Yeah, whereas woodland is a bit more full comparatively. And I think what's going on there is because, let's go back to this real life garment here. I think they would be rounder, but because the screen is slipping, it actually creates these sharper points than what would actually be drawn
intended.
There.
Sure.
And how I kind of came upon that is Wikipedia, actually, Wikipedia, right? They have a really good high resolution vector of ERDL, but I thought that the points were just like, you can see these black areas, they're too thick. I think this is actually based off of a more pristine, perfect example.
Sure.
That's just not, I don't think, what you'd see as common in the field. I think you'd see a more distressed example. So, or these sharper things caused by the screen getting kind of compacted. So I recreated this off of the garment that I have here, this file here. But I still didn't think it was, I thought it was just too clean looking. So I'm actually kind of attempting to create a little bit of a blurred edge to it to represent that slippage. So you can actually see kind of side by side how, I mean, this is almost the exact same artwork, only I'm applying this sort of distortion effect to it.
Well, and this is just kind of phase one in the sense that you're trying to get this nailed down on the computer, and then you actually have to figure out how it translates into printing on the minifig, right?
We'll see how it prints in real life. That's always the constant back and forth. It might look cool on the screen, but we'll see how it works. It's cool seeing kind of these different camouflage examples side by side here. Very similar, but there's some subtle processes that you can really make it unique and try to capture that character of the actual camouflage.
Very, very cool. Definitely an interesting look at behind the scenes to see how something in real life becomes translated to digital and then moving on into minifig form. So thanks for that look, Landon, and appreciate you checking in.
Yeah, thank you.
So this scorpion and this scimitar is a 2-in-1 model.
Yeah.
But like, watch this. Your scorpion has become a scimitar.
Oh. 2-in-1 model.
Yeah, right. So when we say 2-in-1 model, I mean, yeah, you do get the bricks to build it both ways, but that's literally the difference between the scorpion and the scimitar. And so we were kind of like, why wouldn't we just give you the 2 extra elements that you would need to be able to make that? So yeah, that is one of the cool functions of this model is you can build either one, or if you get a couple, you can do some variants, etc.
It's not quite a rebuild.
Right. It says, you know, you read the description, it's like, this comes with 2 different building options, which is true, but also the building options are that quick. So you can just flip it back and forth between that 76mm cannon and the 30mm one. So it looks cool either way. Super nice and durable kit. Great little build by Mary. At an excellent price point. Trying to get in on the whole Desert Storm bricks. What an awesome first offering of a model. Yeah. So, and Dan's is sweet too. This is the M163, right? Yeah, M163, the Vulcan air defense system.
Still a good amount of printing.
Yes.
For that coming up.
I don't think there's any stickers on this model.
I just finished
Actually, I don't think there's stickers on either of these.
I don't know, yeah. I just finished up the minifigure for that, so it's kind of a reworking of previous artwork, but kind of brought up to the modern standards. It's going to be that awesome desert six color camouflage.
Cool.
And a brand new 3D printed tanker helmet.
Nice.
So it's like a combat vehicle crew helmet. So.
Wow. Okay. So awesome minifigure. Make sure to check out those renders. This has one of your favorite little build contraptions on the top, where the 2 of these move together, which is pretty awesome. Just like the same. If you're familiar with the M113 model that had the add-on packs to become the Vulcan air defense system, it still has all of the awesome functions. You get on into that interior there, camera guy. There's a ton of hatches, moving parts, smooth rolling tracks, as we always like to say. Lots of cool stuff featured in this model. And like Landon was saying, there's going to be printing in a minifigure, as this is just a prototype, but a pretty sweet little addition to the Desert Storm Bricks lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Before we get into that Bulldog, because that thing's incredible, well, I suppose let's jump over to our straight up new releases then. We've got the Saigon Taxi, because Vietnam Bricks is still going on here, so this is a good little mock builder piece. Easily fits 2 minifigs, if not more. You can cram some more in there, but if you're, you know, to easily fit them in, it's pretty much stacked one behind the other. But very, very common sight on the streets of Saigon throughout the 60s, and so we just kind of captured that standard look of most of those. And then it'll be kind of the same with this. Some cool artwork on the way for the printed elements in this. We'll look a little bit closer at that come next week.
What I like about those 2 models, and it's kind of finishing up the Vietnam month, Those are great diorama builders, and I don't know if you for those of you who have seen Brickmania's diorama of like the Vietnam era, those things are just perfect for sort of adding that extra level of sort of subtle character. It's not like, obviously they're not like cool, awesome tanks or whatever, but they really bring a cityscape to life because, you know, without a lot of random little vehicles in a city, just doesn't quite feel there. So you can tell when they're not part of a mock, actually. It's like a great detail adder.
Yeah, depending on the era you're trying to capture or the specific event, if you don't have at least something resembling the civilian presence, you've missed a significant portion of that mock. So yeah, definitely a good call there, and something that, you know, when you got those printed elements like this bad boy has got printing all over the place on it, on the tail, on the trunk. There's even a little bit of room for some carry-on back there, you know, if you got one of those little suitcases, etc. So a good little build, and I'm excited to see this one when it's done too. But yeah, like Landon was saying, essentials for the mocks. Speaking of mock essentials, though, let's get over into the NVA infantry.
Sure.
Because he's got a new perfect caliber, also available.
Yep, just the AK. Some nice wood grain on that. It's kind of like the quintessential, you know, rifle there.
The most popular assault rifle in the world.
Yeah. Gotta get one, get 1,000. That's kind of like, you need to fill out the ranks there. That's
definitely, yeah, there's so many minifigures that the AKM would look right in the hands of.
Even up to, you know, modern day.
Right, so. Exactly. There's definitely a lot. I mean, obviously we had the battlefield pickup ones as well, but these are just kind of the straight, basic army issue, whatever it is. Less of the flares and details. But then that minifig is awesome as well.
Yeah, I guess my favorite part is that helmet. It's that NBA pith helmet. There's a few Lego helmets that are close approximation. Probably a little bit too tall. This has kind of a unique silhouette to it, so we opted to produce our own version. So 3D printed in-house, UV printed on top of that. It's really got that iconic NBA infantry look to it. The uniform, a little bit of color shifting going on there. Earlier in the war, from what it looks like, the North Vietnamese army had a few different. It was probably a standard uniform, but quite a bit of different fabric. I think they're just using up stocks to get a uniform out there to the masses.
Sure.
And then later on in the war, you have like a much darker olive, similar pattern uniform, but even then, that darker olive uniform would fade in the sun pretty quick. So this could kind of represent like an earlier war lighter fabric, or even like a later war sun-faded fabric. So
sure,
it's a pretty versatile figure, I think, in that respect.
Yeah, right. Kind of one of those army builder figures in the sense that you could have quite a few of them, and then if you want to do some head swaps, etc., you can add some variety. But that helmet looks really good. Obviously, the perfect caliber is the perfect complement to something like that. So very cool little figure, and the continuation of Landon's plan for Vietnam bricks. As we saw in the check-in, some cool stuff in the future.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the month. So that's going to be awesome there. We also have the Viet Cong flag, which is, we haven't done a new fabric accessory for a while, but it was something we needed to do to kind of round out the inventory. And once again, trying to make all of those supplies available for that Vietnam mock contest, which wraps up on June 1st. We've already gotten some submissions, which good for you for the confidence. But remember, you got plenty of time left, and we want to get all the way through this month so that we can see the variety that's included in some of the stuff. You know, we're looking for, you know, there's some basic requirements to meet, but then there's some very easy things you can do to set yourself away from the pack. One of which is make it about an actual historical event. Do a little research, you know, have some things that people who know that era would point to and go, that's really cool. Variety within just the builds and stuff in general. As cool as it is to see one of our tanks with some minifigures standing around it, there's some higher quality mocks out there, I think, that just kind of add that next level of creativity. So we're excited to see, you know, the jungle put to good use, and then the Streets of Saigon, etc. Looking forward to seeing our pieces in there, but also just the creativity and kind of that historical edge that we know so many of the Brickmaniac fans have.
That's right.
What would you build?
What would I build? I really like that Brickmania, our Saigon sort of Vietnam rice paddy.
Look at the Huey landing
everything.
Like that.
I think that could use a cool update, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Because those are all minifigures from even before like I was working here. So.
It is an old mock.
It looks great though, but I think it could use a little bit of sprucing up with some custom printing maybe.
Yeah, there's definitely some next level stuff.
Maybe I'm biased there in that respect.
It's a cool. It's
what
a
would
sweet
you add to
rock.
the mock? Oh, my minifigures.
I would try to do the platoon scene.
Ooh.
You know, with the NVA running after, and then you could have Willem Dafoe, posed up on the ground, Huey flying overhead with Charlie Sheen like, no, why are we leaving Elijah? Great movie. If you haven't seen it, ask your parents first. Kind of rated R.
kind of rated R.
That's still a cool movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what more of the mocks we have. The BKM Vault is coming back on the 4th of February. So just a little heads up on that. There's been some stuff we've been accumulating from over the holiday seasons, etc. We got to decide exactly what does and doesn't fall into that retired category, but expect that week to have a really cool video with Dan as we go over some of the older models and stuff that are going to be in there. So it should be another good haul. Maybe even a chance for you to pick up something super unique for your Vietnam mock. Might have an M60, etc. in there. So if you wanted to do a specific era,
Yeah.
I don't know. Got a chance to do that. And then remember, on the 1st of February, that will be the final restock pre-order for our current variant of the AC-130, at least from what we know right now. And that has to do with what we talked about last time, a little bit about the Lego motor situation on the open market, something that we're just trying to prepare for. It also dominates our production schedule and pretty much shuts down both UV and production when it comes into play. But that still doesn't mean that we wouldn't make more if we could. We just can't.
Yeah.
Because the motors aren't there.
Yep. Lego just decides to stop certain systems every once in a while, so kind of working with what we have, but we'll see what we can do.
Is what it is, realities of the situation. We just do our best to try to make sure we communicate that to you guys so it doesn't catch anyone by surprise. I think that about wraps it up for the release schedule this week. Anything
Does
else
it?
You wanna...
You're forgetting something?
Oh, right, because it's sold out.
Yes.
But yeah, so yes, today is, it is Bulldog Week.
Heck yeah, man.
Hoping to have those start shipping today, I think, is the goal. There was a little bit of delay with track links, but I think they're on their way, if not really close. We got this one. This is the prototype model, but we got it all printed up. We're going to do a designer's desk with Dan. It's excessive.
Excessive. It's oppressive.
It is insane the amount of printing on this thing. I mean, not to mention the cartons of cigarettes and the
What?
magazines
and just a piece talking about
and fun stuff that they have going on in the extras, but it's got that real in-country look with all the bags and gear and that board in front, etc. 3D printed muzzle brake looks great.
Yeah, I'm liking that new 3D printed muzzle brake, and that's in the past we've just done some stickers. This actually is 360.
There's no stickers.
Rolly printed on this barrel. We weren't having good luck with the stickers on the barrel. It was working. It was a good kind of a stopgap measure until we had our printing capability where we wanted it to be. So it's just nice having the option for printing on the barrel like that.
Yeah.
Just overall, though, it's like speaking of print capability. This is kind of bringing it up to. It's like, well, if we want to print there, let's print there. We finally kind of have the crew and capability of getting all this custom printing on these kits week after week after week, and in batches of hundreds of kits. Hundreds and hundreds of kits per week we're able to crank out to this awesome quality standard, and that's we've been kind of building up to this for years, I think. So it's sort of sweet seeing this is sort of. I think a good example of more things to come. I
mean, the bags, the hatches, all that stuff is all good and fun, but flip around, look at that front hatch. You can see the gun ports on that thing printed on the edge of the brick. I mean, that is an unprecedented level of detail that Dan just wants to capture.
Yeah, just the little vision ports. I'm like, Dan, it's on the side of a
side of a tile.
Or,
or on the side of a tile. That's some really tedious printing, and yet it is something that.
Same thing on top, same vision ports on the side. Just it's. I was I was skeptical, quite frankly, and I was like, it's going to be so small, but it is a cool, looking at it now, it's like, that's a nice, subtle little detail.
Right. It's an example of no corners cut, and I think that, something Dan has wanted to do is kind of take us in a direction where we want to try to do budget-friendly kits to some degree, but also we want to make sure that, this is the stuff that remains to be the absolute top of the line, and the way you do that is by doing a ton of printing. And I think what we've seen, you've seen a trend in our last releases, even when we talk about both of these prototypes, this right here, there's no stickers. And when there is, the cross-element decal transfer stickers that we've now switched over to since those box cars, since that demonstration video we did. And those things are that liner is the lettering is so clean that you really got to look at it to make sure it's not printing. And that wasn't always the case with stickers, but I think now we've got, we've cranked up the quality of both of those, and you can really tell. And this Walker Bulldog is absolutely top of the line, including the crew.
Right, and that's that. So I think the last time we did the Walker Bulldog, I think the crew was. I don't even know if there was any custom printing on that guy, but I think it was just a standard plain minifigure and then a Brick Arms vest on top of them.
Sure.
Which that works really well for maybe the crew inside of a tank or just sort of to fill up your ranks, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just really simple brick built minifigures with Brick Arm stuff. But man, if you want to make a cool display diorama, you're going to have this crew sitting around the deck, and you're going to have this advisor guy talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like this really lets you build those unique scenes as opposed to just having like tank with driver.
Mm-hmm. Well, and using that printing to capture the like I keep calling them the in-country elements, that board in front, the extra packs on the side, the details in the bags on the back, even making the M16 that comes with the advisor guy a perfect caliber. It's just those little details that make this a fun kit to build, put together, and then when you kind of get to sit down and examine all of it, that's something we're really striving for, and I think you'll see that more moving forward on models that are kind of that that top tier, that premium level, is that we're just gonna do everything we can all the time.
Yeah. No, I'm super pumped with how this whole complete package turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Again, biased. I'm totally biased to the figures, but that advisor guy,
he's awesome.
He's wearing those Okinawa boots, like just sort of a really weird transitional piece there, really sought after in the
collector field,
military collector field. So beautiful boots, really crazy loadout on cool stuff. It was cool stuff. Fun
just with that beret and all that stuff. Yeah. And that's another great example too of like we always release these crews and everybody goes, "Can I get that figure to stand alone separately?" And it's like, we'd love to be able to offer all of these figures standalone separately, but the truth of the matter is that the minifig quantity to be able to do that with the minifig library that we have is just not necessarily realistic. And then not only that, but you've already seen, so on Monday, we got the smoke jumper coming back. That was the soonest we could get it into the schedule from the initial sellout of the Sherpa. And you got to think about that being like over a month ago already.
Sure.
And that's the quickest we can turn around and do that kind of stuff. So it's not something where we can just be like, oh man, this is a really popular figure, let's punch it in there and get a whole batch of them done or run out. Like there's acquisition of the parts to begin with, and then just trying to find room in a UV print department that's pretty much never not running.
Right.
I mean, it's always going.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess like another thing to note about like, I wish the figures from the kit would be standalone. That might come someday, and that might.
We are working towards.
Yeah, that would be an ideal situation there, but it is actually like the kits that fund the ability to produce and like to research, design, produce minifigures. So it's like you need this makes a kit actually makes it a lot more likely to have three different minifigures. Whereas if I wasn't designing for a kit, we would have only had one minifigure this week.
Sure.
Now we get 4. It's so these kits make more minifigures actually possible.
Sure. Yeah, just research and development. Because I mean, at the end of the day, kits are Brickmania's bread and butter.
Yeah.
So that is what we do, and especially sweet tanks like the Walker Bulldog. I mean, that is the epitome of Brickmania, and I mean, I know everybody was super pumped about the Huey. I was too, but it was good to just see an awesome tank back in Brickmania's lineup, and one that took full advantage of all the expansions that we've made across departments. So yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you got UV printing everywhere. You got a 3D printed muzzle brake. You got a crew of 3 minifigs. What does Brickmania offer? It was designed by Dan. Like, there's not very many things Brickmania offer that this kit doesn't feature.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So yeah. M41 Walker Bulldog. And yes, I know I referenced the Huey earlier. The Huey will be back on Monday because, once again, it sold out initially, and we tried to shove it back into the lineup as fast as possible. Will be a restock pre-order, so it's not going to be shipping or anything. But I know that's a popular one, so we can get on that. We wanted to try to make sure that everyone who wants a Huey in their Vietnam mock contest can put a Huey in their mock build. So that'll be back, and then so is the striker. A few other things. We'll go over all that fun stuff on Monday. So make sure you pick up your scorpion / scimitar. I'll show one more time.
Do it.
Whoop.
Customizing with Dylan.
Wow, it's like he just took that scorpion
It's a whole new
and
tank.
made it into a scimitar. It is awesome though. Cool little light tank. It proves they're still relevant, or at least were. Anything else you want to go over?
I got nothing.
Okay, cool. We'll see you guys on Monday.